Welcome to the Website Success Show, the podcast dedicated to helping women in business get more traffic and sales through their website with less reliance on social media and paid ads. I'm Jules White, the founder of the Website Success Hub, and I love helping local and online businesses make more money through their existing website. If you have a business you love but you don't like the way your website performs, then this is the show for you. Hi, so I just wanted to pop in and talk a little bit about this week's episode. I recorded this as a little practice before I delivered this talk for my local networking group. I delivered it as an in-person talk, but I was just doing a little run through, and I really thought you might enjoy it listening to this on the podcast here. So you can either listen along if you're listening in on the podcast, or if you want to head to YouTube, you can see the slides and see the websites that I'm talking about within this episode. Let me know if you have any questions after watching this. You can either text the show or you can send me a little DM, and I really hope you enjoy it. Your website should be your best salesperson, not a source of stress. It should be bringing in leads and sales 24/7. But for a lot of business owners, it just sits there looking nice or not really doing a lot for their business. So today I want to share a few small ways that you can use AI to help turn your website into a business asset and hopefully put a smile on little Chatty's face. She wants to help to make this easier for you. And when website optimization is simple and action-driven, it becomes a powerful tool for financial freedom. Before I dive in, I'm Jules White. I help women with local and online businesses make their websites work for them using simple website and SEO strategies so that they can attract more customers, earn more money, and create more freedom for themselves and their families. My background is as a beauty and holistic therapist, but I've always been a geek too, and I've been building websites since 2007. And when I'm not working in my business, you'll find me walking in nature with my husband Aaron and our dog Poppy, or braving the water for a cold water swim. I did my coldest swim a couple of weeks ago and it was 3.9 degrees. And when I left my salon job in 2021, I thought I would be building websites, but I quickly discovered my real passion is helping women to use Google and SEO to grow their businesses, because small website changes can make a big difference. So how many of you feel like your website could be working harder for your business? Show of hands. Me too. I also include myself in that as well. Many women struggle to grow their businesses online because their websites aren't working for them. They feel pretty overwhelmed by SEO, unsure where to start, and frustrated that their website isn't bringing in customers. And there's many websites out there that look good, but they don't perform as they should. So a lot of the reason why websites tend to be not working is because people arrive on your website and it's confusing. So they don't know immediately what you do, how you're going to make their life better, and what they need to do to get it. It's not optimized, so you've got content on there, but it's not actually set up in a way that helps both Google to discover your content and also people who are out there searching, once they land on your website, taking the action that you want them to take as well. So that's a real sort of waste of opportunities. And also, they've not really thought about the user experience. It's more of a digital brochure of like, here's who we are, rather than thinking about that customer and the user of the website and how you can help them. But there is good news. AI can help, but it still needs that human touch. So let's look at where it all fits in. And when I talk about AI tonight, I'm talking about ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Perplexity, whatever AI platform you use. You can use it in ways that can help you to make your website better. There's certain things that AI can do and there's certain things that it can't. So it can't think like a human. It can appear to think like a human and it can come up with some amazing ideas, but ultimately it is just a machine and it's taught how to behave in a certain way that mimics what humans would think. But it can't think as creatively as we can. It can't think in as many different ways as we can. And it can't replace that strategic decision making. It can't decide what's best for you in your business. It can certainly give you suggestions, but there's no way that it can completely replace us. And it can't understand your brand and your customer as well as you do. It might help you to discover new things about that and to maybe think of things in a different way, but it ultimately can't replace you. It can't replace your mind for the majority of things that you need to do in your business. It can do lots though to help your website, and I could spend hours here talking to you about the different ways you could use AI to help your business and your website. But I just wanted to focus on 3 specific ones that you could then go off and take action on. So it can help you to improve your website copy. So the words on your website, that is the thing that gets people to take action. A website might look pretty, but if it hasn't got the right words, then people won't actually do what you want them to do. Make the most of your content as well. So it can help you to actually maximize every piece of content you're creating, whether you're creating content for your website or for elsewhere. It can help you to actually use that on your website to make more of an impact. And it can help you to improve your customer journey as well. And this is really important, because if people will take the journey through our website and it leads them to actually making a purchase, then ultimately it means more people coming through your website will actually become customers and take that action you want them to take. So I'm going to focus on those three things. One of the burst problems with a lot of websites is it looks nice, but it doesn't bring in leads and sales. And this is where focusing on your copy is really important. I've got a couple of examples to show you tonight. And I started with Ruby Violet. So I was trying to find some websites that looked beautiful and weren't particularly effective. And I struggled a little bit actually in finding some websites that looked like a good option. So I thought I'd go with something local. So I looked at Ruby Violet's website and it looks nice. One of the things I would say, whenever you're thinking about your website, and think of things with your human eye first and foremost, because you could dive into this and try use AI to help you with your website. But firstly, take that step back and think, if this was a new person landing on my website, you could do this in an incognito window or do it on somebody else's phone who hasn't visited your website before. Just make sure that first experience that they get is a good one. And we can immediately see from the image on the left here, if you were landing on Ruby Violet's website, immediately you can't really see a lot of what they're doing. So yes, having your privacy policy there and clearly displayed is important, but then they've got this 10% off behind it, this pop-up, and ultimately that is hiding all of the content on that page. And Google hates that. Google actually hates pop-ups that come up within 10 seconds of landing on a website. So with a privacy policy, you may need to do that anyway. It depends on how things fire in the back end of your site, whether you need to have your privacy policy coming up straight away. If you're collecting cookies and you're collecting information about people, then yes, you would have to do that. But they could maybe look at a way they could make this less intrusive, so make that privacy policy pop-up less intrusive. That's a tongue twister, privacy policy pop-up. So yeah, they can make that less intrusive, and also they could definitely that 10% off banner, take that away. So take that away for the first 10 seconds. I don't know about you, but if I land on a website and a pop-up comes up straight away, just the first thing I do is X off it. If I can't find the little X button, and that is quite a small little X button there, I will just go away from that website, especially if I click somewhere else on the page and that doesn't disappear, then it just annoys me. So think about that. So we kind of think, oh yeah, I'll get that pop up there and that's going to make everybody sign up and get 10% off. It doesn't usually work that way. So that's where coming into it and thinking about how you would act on a website and what you would want to see. Think about that with your own website as well. So leaving that until at least 10 seconds before they get that pop-up coming up. That would immediately then allow us to see a little bit more of the screen. I would remove this little hide chat bot here as well from the screen until at least the privacy policy is gone. Again, maybe 10 seconds, because it's all extra noise on the screen at this point. So at this point, people are just coming into the site. We have approximately 3 seconds to capture their attention, let them know what we do, how we're going to make their life better, and what they need to do to get it. So that would be my sort of first thing when you come into a site. Start looking at it with your human eye and start thinking about what improvements you can make around that, really. So I had a little prompt that I put into ChatGPT. So I wanted to just do something simple. So I just put rewrite website's homepage headline. And it came up with the current homepage headline is luxurious, inventive frozen delights, Ruby Violet ice cream and sorbet. And this actually isn't the headline for this page. So one of the things that I'm going to show you tonight is how we need our human eyes to make sure that AI is actually doing what we're expecting and actually is giving us proper information. So this isn't actually a headline on this site, and let me show you why. This is one of my little SEO tools that tells me what's happening with headings and things like that on a website. It tells me a little bit about what's going on in the back end. This is actually a free tool that anybody can download. It's really good. I would 100% recommend it. So this website doesn't actually have a H1 heading. So on a website, H1 heading is the most important heading on a page. Each page should ideally only have one H1 heading, and it should be at the top of the page. Ideally should be the first thing when people land on that page. And also when Google, and when I talk about Google, I mean any bots that are scanning our website so that they can show us up in search results. That's the first thing it sees. So the first thing that we're seeing on this site is a H6, which most websites should never have a H6 on anyway. If you think about the website hierarchy and what we would want to see here, Ideally, we want it to be a logical hierarchy. So we want one H1, maybe a few H2s, and then maybe within those H2s, you might have a H3. Realistically, I wouldn't go any lower than that with a hierarchy. Anyway, what it's saying is the H6 is this subheading, which is underneath Sweet Valentine. So somebody's coming into this site, assume that they don't know about what this company does. It's not particularly engaging. It's not particularly going to encourage them to understand why this business is going to help me and enjoy my ice cream and live a better life in that site. Coming on to the next slide, this is the suggestions ChatGPT came out with. So I said, here are some alternative headline suggestions. And I won't read through all of them, but yeah, they're okay. They're a little underwhelming, definitely. So I then prompted it further and told it what I think makes a great homepage headline, not just headline, but within this homepage hero section is for people to understand what you do, how you're going to make their life better and what they need to do to get it. And then ChatGPT came up with some better suggestions here. So it came up with handcrafted small batch ice cream made with local ingredients, taste the ruby violet different today, or the same beginning bit and then a taste you'll never forget. So it came up with a few different ideas. It's okay. Again, something you would have to fact check and make sure that it is made with local ingredients. I didn't have a look at their website to find out about that. But then it came up with a subheadline of made with organic dairy, real fruit, and a passion for creativity. Our ice cream isn't just delicious, it's an experience, which I thought sounded quite good. Sometimes I find I get really good stuff with ChatGPT and sometimes I don't, but it gives you a good starting point that you then need to put your human eye over and make sure it does actually make sense for what you're trying to create in this area. And you could do this for any section of your website, for any page of your website. You could do it for a whole page at once if you want to. I tend to say break it down and do it section by section. And if I'm looking at a page, if I'm creating a page with a client, then we don't tend to start on this hero section. This is one of the hardest places to start on your page because I can't tell you how many times I've changed my H1 heading on my homepage. It's not easy, but sometimes if you do the rest of the page, then the H1 heading then naturally kind of falls into place, really. But also then it suggested something that they could have done for a better call to action. So we've got a small button here that says shop now. It suggested maybe you could use something like find your flavor or get yours before it melts, which I thought that sounded quite clever. But then I thought, well, would people be worried it was going to melt anyway because it's ice cream that's going to be delivered through the post? And then there was shop now for a sweet treat, which I thought that sounds a bit better than just shop now, basically. It's a way to basically start getting the words on your website to actually align with who you're trying to attract in the right sort of way. And a little tip, if it's not reading your pages properly, so I loaded the Ruby Violet address into this. If you do that and it doesn't seem to be understanding it properly, what you can then do is either copy all the content from your website, so just swipe over it all from your homepage and paste that into ChatGPT, because ultimately that's what it's seeing, really, or certainly Google, that's what it's seeing right now. It's seeing the written words on the site. Or you could take a screenshot of it and then put that into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can then read the words out of that image. There's so many different ways you can do it, and I've done it in all different ways. But just make sure that it is actually understanding what is actually happening on that page. So the next tip is using AI to maximize your website content. So poor Chatty, there's some neglect going on here. And the reason that matters, the reason that it's important to make sure that we make the most of our content is because there is so much content out there. And AI makes it so much easier to produce content, but it's like a sea of content out there now. So just producing content isn't enough. And what matters now is becoming the authority on the topic that you talk about. So being the expert, standing out as the expert in your niche. And that's where many business owners will create content. So they'll create blogs, and it isn't just blogs. When I'm talking about content, I don't just mean blogs for your website. There's also like frequently asked questions, or they might be creating free downloads and creating landing pages for those, or their home pages or product or sales pages, but they don't then actually make the most of that content they create. So it just sits there and it slowly gets more and more outdated, or it's only ever used once rather than being turned into multiple formats or updated and given a new lease of life. And it's also not then connected to other relevant content as well. So it's harder for Google and people to actually find and navigate through your content as well. But we can use AI to create a structured, searchable content database system. and connect your content together for better SEO and for conversions. So does it sound familiar that you're creating content, but it feels like it's just getting lost? Yeah, me too. So businesses are creating more and more and more content, but without a system to actually use it strategically, it just ends up disappearing. So instead of endlessly creating new content from scratch, we can use AI to help us to create this searchable database of content. So your content actually works for you and you don't just feel like you're just churning out new stuff all the time. So there's some really helpful things that AI can do to help you create a database of content. So it can scan your website, and this sometimes, as I just explained, it can be a little bit sketchy. So it's certainly worth looking at what it produces when you ask it to scan your website. And it depending on your website platform and also how many pages you've got, you might find that sometimes it struggles with it. But you can also upload a document into it. So I've actually started doing my content database in a Google Doc. So I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. But you can upload that into ChatGPT, and then hopefully it would be able to understand that a little bit better. Even then, sometimes it can be a little bit sketchy, but it's getting better. All of this is getting better all the time. And then once you've got that, it can sort your content into themes. So it could look for SEO topics. It could work out customer journeys. It could work out the best product categories and find ways to link between those related articles and ways to link to your blogs to your sales pages and other resources, and ways that essentially you can increase the links in your website, which is the thing that then keeps people and Google on your site for longer and helps them to binge your content and to realize why you are the authority and what you do. It also helps you to find gaps in your content as well. So if it's a skincare brand, for example, and they're writing about cleansers, but they're not writing enough about moisturizers, then AI might flag that. It can also suggest ways to refresh older content that needs updating rather than just creating new content over and over and over again. I've created a few podcast episodes around this, so you can always have a little look through my podcast archive around why you don't need to keep creating new content and just feeding the algorithm. And it can suggest ideas as well. And this is one of the things that I do use AI for a lot, is suggesting ideas for lots of different things, not just for content, but for so many different things within my business. But it can also suggest ideas of how you can rework that content as well. So it might tell you that a blog post could be turned into a podcast episode or an email campaign or a video script or something like that. So what AI can't do, and this is where we can't just rely on AI for creating content or when we're creating a content database, AI doesn't always understand our brand voice and our business goals. It just follows patterns. So it's not smart enough to understand more than what we tell it, essentially. AI might not prioritize the right content for SEO. It needs guidance. So it might tell you to go after one particular thing. But if that's not something that you want to be selling more of in your business, if it's not your most profitable service and you're trying to find the best ways to optimize your content for the most amount of profit, unless you guide it in the right direction, AI won't know your customer journey unless you structure prompts correctly for it as well. You can ask it to analyze the customer journey through your website, but it won't tell you what is actually happening. And it might again go down the wrong path. So you need to make sure that you are structuring it in the right way. And AI definitely needs human reviews to make sure that the quality is there. It can otherwise end up suggesting irrelevant content or redundant content or creating things that just aren't true. It sometimes hallucinates as well. And so we need to bear that in mind, that we always need that human eye to go over it and make sure that it does make sense what it's saying. And so we can prompt AI to scan the content of our website and create a database. So Google Gemini is sometimes better at this than ChatGPT. I use both Google Gemini and ChatGPT all the time in my business. And I actually have done this with my podcast episodes. So I've created mine as a Google Doc, which I then load into ChatGPT, and and asked it to suggest links, gaps in the content, where I might need to dive in further or different angles, and how I can use that on my website and beyond. And I feel like this is something that if you start doing this is going to be massively helpful. And as you create more and more content and you get more into that database, AI is getting smarter all the time. And so I feel like having that there and having a way to have all of your content in one place that's scannable is going to be so much more powerful in the future as things move on as well. So then the third way that we can improve our websites using AI is using AI to improve the website navigation and the UX, which is user experience. If you've ever landed on a website and have got no idea where to click next, that's a huge problem, but it's also really common as well. But if visitors feel lost, they'll just bounce back to Google or they'll go and find something else. And so AI can suggest better ways to structure your website to improve your navigation for better clarity, for better conversions, and even highlight maybe some missing pages that you might not have thought of for your website. So a well-structured website helps to keep visitors engaged and helps them to then take the action that you want them to. And this was another website which I found. It was one that I thought looks nice. It's not stunning. It looks nice. It's quite simple. There's definitely some issues. Again, if I look at this with my human eye straight away, I immediately can't see this headline here. It doesn't stand out. They need a box or something there. And it's the same because sometimes you'll look at it on desktop and it will look okay, and then it doesn't on mobile. This one doesn't look great on either desktop or mobile. Ultimately, you can't read this writing. This white writing against a light or a busy background is not good, really. So I prompted ChatGPT. This is just a random website, by the way. I don't know this company. It was just one that I happened to find. And actually, before I dive into how I prompted, when I looked at this website and looked particularly at the navigation menu, when I first came into this website, I didn't even see this navigation menu up here. I looked at it and was then looking at the mobile and then went back to the homepage. And then suddenly I thought, oh, there's a navigation menu there. So immediately it's not clear that this is where people can actually discover the products that you're selling. And this is an e-commerce site, so this is really important that they actually can help to improve that conversion optimization, because they can make more sales then, really. If we've got this where we've got something like a cluttered or not very well structured menu, then AI can analyze the structure of the website and suggest ways that you can streamline it. So things like if you've got vague labels, it can help you to group pages together more logically, removing unnecessary clicks, which is really important. Ideally, we want people to be able to get to where they want to be on your site. So if it is a particular product, and even if they don't know that when they land on your site, the quicker you can get them there, then hopefully the less chance they are of bouncing away, and the more likely they are to actually then go through and make a purchase or join your email list or whatever action you're trying to get them to take. So when I looked at this, I used the prompt, please analyze this website and suggest a better navigation structure for both SEO and conversions. And then I put the URL in. And ChatGPT at this point had a little hallucination. And it wasn't this answer that I've got here. Suggested some changes for a menu that didn't even exist on this website. So then I can't remember which way I did it. I either took a screenshot of the page or I copied all the content from that homepage and put it onto there and posted that into ChatGPT, that navigation menu there. So it came up with lots of suggestions. If I come through onto the next slide, you can see it came up with a big long list of things that we could potentially do. But I'm just going to focus on what it said about the navigation menu here. So it suggested changing organic skincare, organic hand care, organic bath and body. So it suggested changing it to bath and body, hand care, home fragrance, baby and child, and skincare. And it's quite straightforward. It is quite simple. People would know where they need to go. But we need to think about, again, this from a human point of view, from that business's point of view, and it would depend on what their business goals are, what they're trying to achieve with their website, which are their most important products, what's most important about their messaging. So thinking about how do real people browse and make decisions is where we have that human input, and we can't just rely on AI to be correct about everything that it's saying, really. So this is a really good starting point, ultimately. So thinking about their brand voice and their messaging and whether this structure that it's suggested aligns with their identity, making sure that actually if they were thinking about things from an SEO point of view, make sure that the improvements it was suggesting are not going to then do damage to SEO rankings. Like, for example, AI suggested remove organic from the labels to reduce redundancy. So I think as a human, I would look at that and think, okay, where's it important for it to say organic in there? So if organic skincare is a strong search term for this business, then you could keep organic skincare, but you could maybe change organic bath and body to luxury bath and body if you want to then have a more premium positioning of this business. And it suggested renaming Little Sister to Baby and Childcare instead of Little Sister. And immediately when I came into this site, I was like, what is Little Sister? And then I went through, and that page itself is also a little bit confusing, that is actually baby and childcare. So they definitely could do with having that in there. But maybe if that's an important branded term for them, they could keep it as a subline. So it could say little sister and then in brackets baby and childcare, or the other way around. So it keeps the branding, but it helps to improve the understanding. And we could also add in some additional menus here as well. So we could have something like shop by concern, or thinking about how people are more likely to shop. So if it was shop by concern, it could be dry skin, relaxation, or something like that. If we're thinking about how people shop, we could be thinking of gift sets or bestsellers, customer favorites. Then could be a page with all of the like social proof of all the customers saying how amazing all your products are. Then there's things that you would maybe want to include in there as well. Like, it's not added the about us in there. You definitely want an about us. That's usually one of the most visited pages on a website. So I'd have that in there as well. So essentially what I'm saying is that you can't just take it as read what AI has suggested. It can suggest a cleaner navigation, but branding and emotional connection with your customers still matter. A customer looking for organic skincare, if they're searching for that exact phrase, keeping it in that menu is going to help to add value, really. So 3 key things to take away. AI is a great starting point. Success with AI is all in the prompt and then spending time training your chats. So you need to think about it strategically and think about what it's telling you to do. It's definitely, you are the boss, and AI is designed to be your assistant. So if it's telling you to do something, think about whether that makes sense to your business. And if it doesn't, then tell it, and also don't do it. And you own your website, so please give it some attention. You're ultimately building up a hub of your authority. This is what we're trying to do online now. It's more important than ever, as I said, to make sure that you are that trusted guide and that trusted voice in your industry. So your website is the thing that you own. And if you can build that up as your hub of content, of authority, of trust, and then link to other places from that, then it's ultimately you're building out an asset for your business. And thirdly, no one should have to burn mental calories working out what you do. So make your website very simple, very easy to navigate, easy to understand, and that immediately will massively elevate your business. So if you want to get started with this, I want to finish off firstly with some words of encouragement, because websites and SEO and AI can feel very difficult and very technical, but it doesn't have to. So I would suggest taking it one step at a time, one page of your website at a time, even one section of your website at a time, and just do what you can. There are lots of advanced and technical strategies for website and AI, but most people aren't doing the basics. So if you're just doing slightly more than your competitors are, then you're onto a winner. And the results do snowball and get better over time. And I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting left behind with AI or with websites. There's no reason to. There's lots and lots of resources out there that can really help you with this. So I have some resources for you as well. So I have some online courses which I work one-to-one with for Done With You services for website and SEO strategy. I help with understanding the tech and understanding the website tech, using AI to improve their brand messaging as well. And I would love you to listen to my podcast. I have now 65 episodes on there, which is some great content on there around making your website better. It's all about websites, SEO, podcasts. And I am currently at about 3,650 downloads. So I would love you to go and listen to that. So thanks for listening. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Website Success Show. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find the show. If you're ready to make your website work harder for you, grab my free beginner's guide to SEO. It's packed with simple, actionable tips to help you get started improving your website's visibility and attracting your dream client. Head to thewebsitesuccesshub.com/start to download it and take the guesswork out of creating a website that works for your business.